Good morning. Brian Baker here, Vice President of Railcar Services here at PFL, bringing you this week's North American rail, energy, and macro update. Starting with the markets, we saw a significant sell-off to close the week. A sharp drop of 879 points on Friday wiped out the week's performance for the Dow, which closed down 1,279 points for the week at 45,479. The S&P 500 fell 163 points for the week, while the Nasdaq dropped 576 points. In overnight trading, Dow futures are trading higher. In the energy space, crude oil also finished the week lower. WTI closed Friday at $58.90, down $1.98 week over week. WTI is currently trading at $60.13. And a quick note on economic data: due to the ongoing government shutdown, the most recent jobs numbers and rail traffic data were not released. We will report on those as soon as they become available. Now for the big stories we're tracking for you this week. The major headline is a massive new investment in crude by rail. 4 Point Resources announced it will double its rail capacity at the Price River Terminal in Utah to handle growing production from the Uinta Basin. The project will add a new loop, track, and storage, increasing loading capacity to 140,000 barrels per day. This is critical because, unlike other basins, the Uinta lacks direct pipeline access, making rail the primary way to get its newly rebranded American Premium Uinta crude to market. This highlights a paradox we're seeing: billions being invested in rail terminals while the actual tank car fleet remains constrained. Meanwhile, the battle over the Union Pacific Norfolk Southern merger is heating up. BNSF Railway publicly attacked the deal this week, calling it anti-competitive and bad for the U.S. economy. That's the industry's second largest carrier now actively opposing the merger. They join major shippers groups like American Chemistry Council, who are all warning that the deal would create thousands of captive shippers with no other transportation options. We're also seeing rail networks stressed by surge in ethanol production. After 3 weeks of declines, output jumped by nearly 8%, sending spot prices tumbling. The production spike immediately put pressure on the Midwest rail lines, which are essential for moving ethanol. It's a perfect example of how rail provides critical surge capacity, but also how quickly volatile in one sector can impact the entire network. Out on the West Coast, a large explosion hit Chevron's El Segundo refinery near Los Angeles on October 2nd. While no one was injured, the fire shut down several units at the plant, which supplies roughly 20% of Southern California's gasoline. The slowdown is already creating headaches for shippers and putting more pressure on rail to move fuel into the region to prevent shortages. In Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney's signature climate finance initiative, the Net Zero Banking Alliance, officially collapsed this week. The alliance, which was supposed to help fund green infrastructure, lost all 6 major Canadian banks earlier this year. The failure leaves rail operators' infrastructure projects without a key source of financing at the exact moment when upgrades are needed most. And finally, a positive note from Canadian National. CN broke its all-time September grain record, moving 2.91 million metric tons. The record volume highlight rail's ability to capture market share, especially as lower water levels on the Mississippi River continue to cripple barge traffic. The key takeaway this week is that rail remains at the center of every major story, whether it's new infrastructure investment in Utah, intense merger battles, or sudden supply chain disruptions from refinery explosions. Rail flexibility and capacity are more critical than ever. For the latest updates on equipment for sale or lease or customized rail solutions, contact us here at PFL. Remember, we clean, flare, service, and store rail cars across North America. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week with another update on what's moving the North American rail and energy markets.